this is the Tanmatsu, a Meshtastic device, and one of the best at that, one of the greatest, and I say that for many reasons, but this thing is so cool, okay? And if you want to learn more about the standard Tanmatsu, I have a full video on that. And basically, if you're like, what is Meshtastic? What is this device in your hands? If this is your first time to the channel, well, don't worry, we're still going to talk about that. But this is the 433 Tanmatsu. Now, I don't know what color I like more, but anyways, Meshtastic is usually on a frequency range of 915 in the USA. It varies on different countries, so in Europe it would be like 868, for example. And in the US, we have different frequencies that we're allowed to be on, and different things that are normally on those frequencies. So 433 is one of the biggest frequencies used for cars and automobiles, like also 315. Now 433 and 315 are going to be those standard ones. A 433 Tanmatsu means Meshtastic on the 433 range. Now, you can't just enter in the frequency 433 on a normal Tanmatsu. This guy's a special chip in it, and it's one of the only Meshtastic devices that's on the 433 range as we speak. And I think it's so special because it gives you a level of security. There's nobody else on the 433 Meshtastic range, and we're going to talk all about the laws, regulations, what is Meshtastic, how to get firmware on your device. Because that was a big complaint with the first video. How do I get firmware on it? Because it's necessary. Now, let's continue with this video though. Now, before we get any further, this device, in fact, two 433 Meshtastic Tanmatsus were sent to me, and also known as the Intergalactic Communicator. You can get one from Nikolai Electronics, so thank you for sending those over, and as you know, he is going to have to be tossed onto the partnership wall. Now, I say that because, well, he's now an official partner. And let's see, we have Zero Trace, Infrastructure Tech, Carbon Computers, M Tools, Colonel Tech, AWOC Dynamics, Lab 401, Hacked Existence, Free Will Eye, Midwest Gadgets, and of course the infamous Hack 5. Now, in the first video, I said I wanted him on here, so I'm so glad to add some new people to the wall. And let's see. I think he should go right here. There he is, added to the partnership wall. And thank you so much for joining, and more to come soon. So, what are the benefits of having a 433 Meshtastic device? Well, there's many benefits that come with it, and actually kind of surprising at that. There's also some negatives that come, well, legally, but I'm not going to be transmitting with it in this video. I'm sure a bunch of you ham radio people in the comments will be telling me, oh, well, you can, you can't. Transmitting power does matter, especially with encryption, but first off, before we talk about what that is, what is Meshtastic? Now, Meshtastic is based off of LoRa, which just stands for long range. And how it works is it sends encrypted messages between multiple areas. So, for example, you send text messages all the time on your phone. Of course, Apple is watching everything you do, so it's not encrypted. The way Meshtastic works is it is encrypted. You don't have to pay cellular, you don't have to have Wi-Fi, none of that. It just uses frequencies and signals to send messages from one spot to another. So, for example, the cool thing about Meshtastic and what puts it all together is that when you have a Meshtastic device over here and another one 9 miles away, say this is your friend, if there's somebody else right here in the middle, then you could bounce your message off of them to this person and they won't know. It creates a spider web of sorts, and it's going to be a community. Now, there's lots of Meshtastic communities, and there's lots of Mesh Core communities, and there's lots of devices that are just nodes. So a Meshtastic node is going to be a device that connects to your phone that you're able to send messages through the device. Now, that works for some people, but for others, they need something fully encrypted, a ghost phone of sorts. And that's what the Tanmatsu is, at least with the standard Tanmatsu. Now, like I said, in the US, it's on the 915 frequency. Outside of the US, though, it's going to be on 868, like I said. There's a few other ones. Where the 433 comes into play is you cannot get this at the moment. The creator stopped making them, but I'm sure if you guys show enough love in this video, I'm sure we can make something happen. But anyway, with the 433 Meshtastic device, what are the benefits you're getting from this? Well, you're getting a few benefits, and that comes with lower frequencies can transmit farther than high frequencies in many conditions. And there's studies to show that it has better range through trees, for example, mountains, and harder terrain. So a lot of people are going to take this camping. They're going to take devices like this so they could contact their family far away. 433 is better for if you're out in crowded places where there's going to be a lot of interference in between your way. Unlike with Meshtastic, where you have to be close together or have mesh. Now, with 433, there is no mesh in the USA. I don't know of anybody using a Meshtastic unit on the 433 frequency. So you're not going to have people to bounce your messages off of unless you have your own little mesh that you've created with these types of devices. Like I said, this is the first Meshtastic device that I have seen with 433 on it. I'm sure there are more to come because there's definitely something here. And it's way less crowded. That's another thing. If you want to have just a public group chat, there's not going to be many other people on these frequencies, nonetheless with the Meshtastic device. So I feel like it is going to give you that extra layer of encryption that you are looking for and just feel safer about whatever shady stuff you're doing. Not that it has to be shady, but I feel like because there's less people, it can give you that extra guarantee. And it's really good for long range in general. Some negatives, though, is that in the US, with a device like this, you usually need a ham radio license to operate. Now, of course, when you transmit a frequency, there's no real way of identifying where and who it came from. There are certain things like the Kraken SDR, which is able to pinpoint and locate where signals are coming from. But if you hop on any frequency with a ham radio, there's not going to be really any way to tell where the person's coming from. Still, you need a ham radio license. I'm getting mine. I know you people telling me to get it. Trust. Now, encryption is also not normally allowed under ham radio in general. And that's just what I've learned through my experience with it. So there is a smaller Meshtastic unit, or mesh in general. Meshtastic is a new-ish thing. And then when there's people coming out like Mesh Core, it's kind of splitting the community in half. So with this device, you already have a small community. With the 433, you have no community. And another thing would be you need a 433 antenna. You're not going to find many of those. This one I have on here has been tuned to 433. I know there are many 433 antennas, as for example, I have like one on my free will eye right here. But for Meshtastic, we often use super long antennas like this, and it could be a struggle finding them. And that really is going to be it. And now let me show you how to flash your device with the Meshtastic firmware. Now, to actually flash our device with firmware, we're going to just want to plug into the USB-C at the top. And the Tanmatsu has a ESP32 P4 and a C6, which is going to make it a powerhouse. If you want to learn much more about how those two work together, you can go watch my video with Cal from Rally Tech Custom Solutions on the Elecro board, which we just posted a few days ago. Now, on the device itself, we are just going to plug in, we'll see the LED at the top, and we'll go to connect. Now, we are going to be able to connect to the ESP32 and to the lower module. We need to flash both, so we'll connect to the ESP32. Just remember which one it was. In this case, it was 301. Go to connect. We'll see we're connected to the ESP32 P4, and then we're just going to hit install Meshtastic front end. This will take about 2 minutes. Now, next, we're going to want to disconnect and go over, reload the page, and on here, well, we could go to connect. And what we're going to want to do is to unplug our device. We're going to want to hold a few special buttons down to get the module actually activated in here. So we are going to want to just turn the device on, and once it is on, we can hit FN plus the yellow square to get it to have the messaging module turned on, or the lower module. Now we could just plug back into this device, and on the computer we are going to see the 401. Now that just means it is activated and we are ready to pair. You can go to install Meshtastic radio, and this is connecting to the C6, and now it is downloading again. And then we're going to have Meshtastic on our little Meshtastic messaging device, and it's going to be pretty awesome. So it just finished, so Meshtastic is officially booting up. Okay, so we're going to power it off, power it on again. Every time you boot it, there will be this white line at the top. Take it as a sign that it worked. Now, I have heard that the creator has gone to making firmware for Mesh Core instead of Meshtastic now, but who knows? And just like that, we have messaging on our device. Now, there are devices, so we could just set it up in here. So we could just go to US, pick our name, pick our long name. Like I said, it may take a minute to boot up that first time. And yeah, then we have Meshtastic on 433. Gonna want to go from there is plug this in your computer and set it to the 433 frequency, because it is going to try to transmit as a 915. And you're just going to do that with plugging in and going to the Meshtastic website. Now, is it a deal breaker that this device has come out? No, but I think it's the start of something big. I think Meshtastic on 433 can be a thing and a super secure way to actually use Meshtastic in general. So, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll say I have a Discord, ages 13 to 17, for kids trying to get into the cybersecurity community and learn more about this type of stuff. And that's pretty much it. We do giveaways on the channel try to do it frequently. So, subscribe, like, and I will see you guys into the next video. Goodbye.